Leads me to a quick video. This is Jason Zimba's definition of college ready, and I want to give you a little bit of background on Jason Zimba so that you know who he is. In March of 2010, Jason Zimba, the lead writer of the Common Core Math Standards, admitted at a Massachusetts Board of Elementary and Secondary Education meeting that the minimally college-ready student is a student who has passed Algebra 2, an acknowledgement that hardly corroborates Gates' claim that Common Core will allow American students to be competitive with other nations. Jason Zimba is a physics professor and business partner of David Coleman. David Coleman was the architect of the Common Core, and he is now the College Board president. Furthermore, Zimba states that Common Core was not suitable for either STEM, which is the science, technology, engineering, and math careers, or selective colleges. It's a real brief video.
It leaves us with all the thorny problems of exactly what that means. But we have agreement to the extent that it's a fuzzy definition that the minimally college-ready student is a student who's passed Algebra 2.
This is another really short video, and this is Jason Zimba's interaction with Sandra Stotsky.
Agreement that I believe we have on this. The definition of college readiness, I think it's a fair critique that it's a minimal definition of college readiness.
For some colleges.
Well, for the colleges most kids go to, but not that most parents probably aspire, right?
It's not for STEM, it's not for international.
That's true. It's not only not for STEM, it's also not for selective colleges that, for example, at UC Berkeley, even whether you're going to be an engineer or not, you better have pre-calculus to get at least Berkeley, right?
Engineering colleges.
And that's true. I think the third pathway goes a lot towards that, but your issue is really broader than that.
Oh, yes.
So I just wanted to make sure that we got that
I'm
out.
not just thinking of selective colleges. There's a much broader question here.
That's right. It's both, I think, in the sense of being clear about what this college readiness does and doesn't get you, and that's the big subject.
But not to call something college ready when it only applies to a certain kind of college and a certain lower level of mathematical expertise that won't buy you far on the international market in most major disciplines of technology, economics, business, and so on.
Okay, thank you. That's
Okay, so the video. Zimba's admission nullifies the main reason the federal government provided over $4 billion in Race to the Top funds. It expected these new standards to improve the critical STEM pipeline. This slide shows 5 experts and their concerns about the Common Core Math Standards, and I'd like to read 2 of them. I'm going to read Bill Evers. He's a researcher at Stanford University, and he was the U.S. Assistant Secretary of Education from 2007 to 2009. And he testifies that the math standards were sloppy and inadequate. Many topics were missing or not developed, and that they prescribed an approach to geometry that is experimental and has a track record of failure for K through 12. I'm going to go down and read Trevor Packer. He's the Vice President of the College Board and was quoted as saying, "Calculus is not part of the Common Core sequence. In fact, the Common Core asks that educators slow down the progression for math." And that was from the National Conference on Education in 2013. So why is algebra so important? A 1999 study, What Does It Take to Succeed in College?, found that the highest level of math in high school has the strongest influence on getting a bachelor's degree. If the math is higher than Algebra 2, it doubles the odds. A 2004 meta-analysis study took 25 years of research on what constitutes success in college. The results? The higher the math, the higher the success rate. 80% of students who took calculus got a bachelor's degree and were 28 times more likely to have a high achiever. So this brings us to the ELA standards. This slide shows the ELA shift from classic literature to informational text. And as you can see, in grade 4, you have 50-50 split. As you get up to grade 8, you have 45% fiction, 55% nonfiction or informational text. And as you get to grade 12, it drops even lower to only 30% fiction or literary and 70% informational. According to Brad McQueen, a teacher who worked on the Common Core testing, he had a couple of questions about some of the questions on the test, the ELA. And he was told, we don't care what the kids' opinions are. If they write what they think or put forth their own opinion, they will fail the test. This is a quote from Dr. Sandra Alberti. She is a supporter of Common Core, and she tells us, the shift will be to bring informational text to the majority of what students read, so that we are building knowledge through text. She explains that students spend most of their time writing about personal experiences and opinions, which are not grounded in evidence. She states, it's interesting conversation, but it is not a college and career-ready skill. I go back to Brad McQueen, when he asked about the ELA question again, stating, I always taught my students to think for themselves, study multiple views on a given topic, then take their own position and support it. He was told, this is the old way of writing. We want students to repeat the opinions of the experts that we expose them to on the test. This is the new way of writing with the Common Core. Okay, I've mentioned Dr. Sandra Stotsky a couple of times. I want to give you a little bit of background on her to let you know why she's so important. She directed the complete revision of the Massachusetts pre-K through 12 standards, which have been regarded among the best in the nation. National and international assessments have attested to their academic quality, so she is an expert on this. These are some of the things that Ms. Stotsky, Dr. Stotsky, found wrong with the ELA standards. The idea that nonfiction should outweigh fiction is not evidence-based. In fact, the historical and empirical evidence weighs against that concept. In her letter to the Validation Committee, which clearly explains why she would not sign off on the standards, Stotsky wrote that the standards for grades 6 through 12 did not reflect knowledge needed for authentic college-level work. She found the standards to be a set of poorly written, content-empty, and culture-free generic skills. Regarding the benchmarking, Dr. Stotsky reported that no material was ever provided to the Validation Committee or public on the specific college-ready expectations of other nations in mathematics or literature. She has concerns that the standards stress writing more than reading at every grade level, and that the writing standards lack coordination with the reading standards. Dr. Stotsky served on the ELA Standards expert on the Validation Committee. She testified that the ELA work group included no English professors or high school English teachers. In addition, neither of the two lead writers of the ELA standards had experience teaching English in either K through 12 or college level classrooms.